through symbolic cultural variation that existed in Nigerian mass media advertising during the 70s, 80s and 90s. We'll also develop a framework based on symbolic cultural variation and apply it to a managerial context. So to set up the initial context, what this article deals with is the guy who wrote this analyzed about more than 500 advertisements in Nigerian mass media and used a technique called semiotic analysis to explore the cultural values that these advertisements convey. Now, semiotics, this is the complicated definition. It is a study of linguistic science established within the continuum of cosmology, psychology, philosophical doctrines, metaphysics, epistemology, origin, historical evolution. What it essentially is that it's mainly concerned with the context and structure of signs or symbols, and not with the effect of influence that these signs and symbols have on the audience. Which is interesting because what we've been learning in the second half of ASCOM is how advertisers use signs and symbols to create desire, drive demand, pitch you that idea of the ideal lifestyle. So he just deals with the context and structure of signs and symbols, and it's left to us to interpret. It's left to us to interpret what they actually mean. Semiology. So it's completely based on what we call percepts. Percepts are the building block of the overall human perceptions. What they essentially are is anything that you can perceive: shape, size, position, tint, tone, anything that you can see, you can hear, you can smell, you can feel. They're all percepts. They're actual objects of perceptions and patterns. And how they're developed and built in your system as you grow up is that you're bombarded with several moods and several feelings and sensations at any given point of time. So as you mature and as you grow older, the brain develops certain perceptual paradigms, which just makes it easier for you to interpret these bombardment of sensations that you're feeling at any given point of time. Now, when we look at a sign or a symbol, the way you interpret them is you take the perceptual paradigms that you've built over time, and you take the concepts that you stored in your memory. Now, these can be your preconceptions, your misconceptions, fears, desires, whatever. You combine the two when you look at a sign or a symbol, and that's when the interpretation is created. And that's the entire basis of advertisement, and that's what marketers use. They take advantage of this connection between your perceptual paradigms and your stored concepts to pitch you the idea of the ideal lifestyle. Now, what this article does is that it asserts that most of the advertisements in Nigeria were based on certain common symbols. They identified, I think, about 50 odd common symbols. That now, whether they were positive or negative, whether they have a positive or negative impact on the society is debatable. There are two sides to that story. What they did do, however, unfailingly in each and every scenario, was that they seemed to impose certain Western values and cultures. They were essentially trying to pitch the Western idea of modernity. We'll take you through a couple of examples. Chitra will take you through the first one.
So let us see an example of a music device that company. So Sharp is a Japanese company which produced a commercial, which is a global commercial in 1998, which depicts a Caucasian couple which is dancing over the device itself. So in Africa that time, it was quite general that the devices, the products were very low in quality, and so the purpose of the ad showing couple dancing on the device is to show the durability of that device, that it can bear the weight of both the person, that is around more than 100 kg. So especially it has an emphasis Also, men and women both are fashionable, they are both physically fit, implies that which resonates with the Nigerian consumers.
Just to add to that, this is not a still from the original advertisement. We scoured the internet, we couldn't find one. This is a recent sharp advertisement which pretty much deals with the same concept. There's a couple and there's a sharp stereo system. So advertisements have evolved much over the last 14 years, 15 years.
So on the contrary, the Nigerian consumer perceived it a little differently. The controversial tagline of the ad, which is "He says and she listens," it shows that the dominating nature of the guy, and it shows that women and men are not equal. While there had been contradiction in the past, there had been some women who were at very high position in leadership roles, like they were queen in past. So does not go with the society, does not connect well. Also, it promotes pleasure during the ad. While the Nigerian society, which is oriented to hardship, they work hard for their earning. So promoting pleasure in the advertisement does not go well with the public. Positioning a man and women on the showing some kind of sexuality or erotic scenes, it's not accepted well by the society. It does not go with the norms of the society. Also, using the cost-casual models, cost-casual couple in the advertisement, which shows the Western superiority, does not show ignore the local consumers. They do not connect with the local consumers. They show the Western side of the society.
There is one more example of lipstick campaign. Look at the video.
Meet Max. He lives for adventure, taking wild animals, sailing the high seas. He's one easygoing guy, all right. Thanks to Carnation Good Start, a routine formula designed to help avoid common feeding problems like fussiness, crying, and gas. Because only Good Start's protein is specially processed into smaller pieces to be extra gentle. And that can leave this tiger feeling real comfortable. Bring out the very best in your baby with Carnation Good Start from Nestle.
As you can see, in 1970s and 80s, many Western corporations entered Nigeria with the virtues of promoting modern lifestyle, and Nestle was one among them. They have urged mothers to use the daily food products because that was seen as more modern and more healthier thing to do. And the mothers, they can retain their attractiveness and reduce their active lifestyle. And the campaign was a spectacular success. The brand got a sea change in that particular aspect of the lifestyle and still persists today. There's one more video.
No, 5 hours.
Company with a
Another one.
For over 2 decades, a battle persisted between two corporate giants and members of several health and religious activist organizations. Problems arose in the mid-1970s when Bristol Myers, a multi-billion-dollar U.S. company with a wide range of products, from pharmaceuticals to cosmetics, and Nestle, a Switzerland-based food and nutrition company, faced criticism for their marketing attempts at encouraging women to exchange breastfeeding for powdered infant formula in third world countries, where there was a general ignorance about hygiene and unclean water. Critical backlash. Critics believed that because the powdered formula had to be mixed with water, it was contributing to malnutrition and a higher infant mortality rate in infants in those countries. Women in these countries were generally unaware of the dangers of mixing unclean water with the infant formula, and because the formula was so expensive, some women were actually diluting it in order to stretch the life of the product. The critics also maintained that the companies were taking advantage of the new market by boosting sales efforts in parts of Africa, the Middle East, and Latin America, and resorting to questionable sales tactics, like the use of milk nurses and mothercraft workers. These pseudo-saleswomen, who were actually not healthcare providers, wore nurses' attire and went into hospitals, clinics, and private homes to instruct new mothers on the benefits of using the new infant formulas. In some cases, these women were even paid on a commission or bonus basis. In response, the Protein Calorie Group of the United Nations and the 27th World Health Assembly issued statements and resolutions which stressed breastfeeding as the ideal way to promote a harmonious and physical and mental development in infants. Bristol-Myers responds. The ICCR, a division of the National Council for Churches, issued an annual report on social responsibility, which then prompted Bristol-Myers to respond and disclaim any responsibility for the formula scandal. Despite this, Bristol-Myers was still asked to report on all sales and promotional activities regarding the infant formula. The company prepared a 19-page report called the Infant Formula Marketing Practices of Bristol-Myers Company in countries outside the United States. However, the report was perceived as an inadequate attempt at trying to disguise the issue. Government involvement. After receiving added pressure from the Securities and Exchange Commission, Bristol-Myers agreed to send a report to stockholders that included evidence from third world countries, sales details in poverty areas, and a description of the medical problems caused by their practices. Bristol-Myers also agreed to end its consumer-oriented advertising and abandon the use of milk nurses. Around this time, an amendment was also made to the International Development and Food Assistance Act, which stated that businesses involved in the manufacture, marketing, or sale of infant formula have a responsibility to conduct their overseas activities in ways which do not have adverse effects on the nutritional health of people in developing nations. Nestlé's response. In contrast to Bristol-Myers' crisis management, Nestlé took a much more proactive approach when responding to critical backlash. They led several large baby formula companies to form the International Council on Infant Food Industries and collaborated on the publication of a code of ethics for infant formula promotion. One major weakening factor, however, was that Bristol-Myers actually refused to join the council. In fact, reacts. A new citizens action group was developed called the Infant Formula Action Council, or INFACT. The group formed a national campaign and boycotted all Nestlé products until the company changed its policies regarding formula promotion, mass media advertising, and the distribution of free samples in hospitals, clinics, and personal residences. In response, Nestlé made representatives available to groups all over the United States as part of their public relations strategy. They met with a variety of health advocacy groups and medical professionals to stress that the root causes of infant malnutrition and mortality in third world countries were actually poverty, lack of food, ignorance, and poor sanitation. Nestlé stated that in most third world countries, infants actually needed a supplement to their mother's milk in order to sustain normal physical and mental growth. Boycotts continue.
And these are the aftermath effects. Like the campaign worked really too well, and young mothers in their eagerness to embrace the modern lifestyle gave up the traditional breastfeeding practices. The babies suffer from various elements and reduced growth. And despite several protests and awareness campaigns, the attractiveness of the campaign was still stuck on the minds of Nigerians. Some women still don't breastfeed their infants. As we can see, like Western values have clearly caused a terrible disruption in their lifestyle. These are the dominant symbols we have identified in the text, like human and animal photographs, the photographs of products, photographs
symbolizing a managerial context of dominant symbols. So we generally see the photographs, hangings in the corporate offices showing nature or portraits. So which is used during the training and induction programs to motivate the newly joined employees and to integrate their motivations along with the goals of the company. So also when an managing consulting, he is working for 16 hours in a company, and when he sees the nature photographs on the walls, so it instantly alters his mood, enhances his mood. So these type of photographs, they have an impact on during the presentations also. When during the induction programs, the presentations are shown, the pictorial representations are easy to communicate the thing to the employees. Also, it serves as a raise of employee morale and enhances the productivity of the employees. However, we see that often ignoring the local context in such pictures, we generally put more emphasis on the western side, which is not very effective in many cases. Kali would put more time.
Starting with human and animal pictures, there's a photograph of Donald Trump. This is a tiger. So Donald Trump is known to be this quirky character. He hangs his portrait in every office floor of his building, presumably to serve as an inspiration for his employees, to sort of give them a message that he's looking over them and they should probably aspire to be as big and successful as he is. And the tiger, of course, represents legality, strength, and speed, and whatnot. So, if you look at the form-content dichotomy, photographs of humans and animals, motivation people, and let me just add a sort of disclaimer here. We are going strictly by the definition that we're getting in the text, and if you find it wrong with them, we're trying to sort of refute them. So in the text, it's given that photographs of humans and animals are used as artifacts or icons, which can only serve to motivate the employees within a managerial context. However, not only do they not have the required effect in some occasions, in other occasions they might have the opposite effect. Now, there are several reasons for this. Ignorance. They might be a lower level employee working for the Trump Foundation who might have no idea who Donald Trump is, especially if it's an Indian branch or any other country. So the point of the picture is lost. Hatred. Now, I think there's general consensus that Donald Trump is an obnoxious egomaniac. So if you hate him in general, there's no way you're going to get inspiration or get motivated by looking at him. Fear. Now, tiger or any animal for that matter. Tiger, I know specifically in some cultures is known to be a harbinger of bad luck, it's known to be evil. So there's got to be a cultural context there before you install the photos, and complexity. Can you just go back to the previous slide? Now, until I read that this picture signifies attitude, I don't know what it's coming from. In fact, I still don't know how attitude relates to this. So, when people make these posters, they have a certain thought in their head. I'm not really sure whether that necessarily translates into the minds of the employees. So, there's a lot of dichotomy. There's a solution. Managers should be aware of the local and cultural perception paradigms. It's always better to use personalities that have a local identification, and also it would be a good idea to do a quick straw poll of all the employees to see whether they have any negative associations with any animal or bird or any personality, just to make sure that the picture is serving its purpose. Nature landscapes. There's a scenic waterfall. This is a panoramic view of New York City. The form. Now, nature serves two purposes. A, as stress buster, or there's a Western metaphor which says that you look at nature, you think of all the opposing forces and how nature very wonderfully sort of resolves the various opposing forces within them, and you're somehow supposed to associate the opposing forces, associate that with the opposing forces within you and be productive. And landscape, this is what is given in the book. It symbolizes a structured design of social class and gender by powerful institutions. It's essentially an aspiration booster. Now, as you can see, the second definition of nature, what is supposed to represent an landscape, is too complex. I'm not sure if it properly impresses upon the people. And I'm sure there are better ways to bust the stress of your employees than constantly reminding them that they need to take a vacation. So, there's a dichotomy there. In fact, in some cases, there are people who might belong to lower sections of the society who might look at, say, New York City and get reminded of their own low upbringings, and that might not even inspire them. So, solution: just don't have any nature photos in your office. There are other ways to bust stress. You could use, so the individual constituencies of the landscape of a city serve the exact same purpose as the entire panoramic view. You have a photo of the Red Fort or the Taj Mahal. They're all historically significant, so they will have the same effect, provided that they're culturally relevant. So that could be an alternative. Brands. The Ferrari is Ritz-Carlton, Rolex. Now, what these brands, when you hang a photograph of a brand in your office, what the text says is that you're trying to impress upon your employees the message of superior quality, reputation, recognition, and you hope that it motivates them to become more productive through subliminal association. However, you're always running the risk of your employees not understanding this. Or even worse, they might be constantly exposed to a Ritz-Carlton or a Rolex and think, I'm not going to get these things by sitting at a desk job the entire day. And that might cause an ethical dilemma, and just they might result on scrupulous means. So you're always running that risk. So the solution: if you're Rolex, then it's okay to have the Rolex brand all around your office. But if you're a small company and you want to motivate people by hanging photos of big brands, then that's probably not a good idea. The alternative to that would be to use relevant personalities, sporting heroes, soldiers, warriors, etc., that better exemplify these